Mogul Motivation, educating and empowering entrepreneurs 1 week at a time. Presented by True Stories Media. And I am your host, Antoine Twiz Taylor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mogul Motivation. Welcome back. I'm so delighted that you are here. If this is your first time listening, this podcast is for the aspiring entrepreneur who is trying to get over that hump and make things happen. This podcast is for anybody who has a dream. So even if you're not an entrepreneur, you can train your mind to think like an entrepreneur to accomplish all of your goals in whatever career that you are pursuing. I don't ask for any money. I only ask for two things. Number one, if you find anything beneficial in this podcast, please pass it on to somebody else who may benefit from it as well. And number two, please leave me a review. Let me know what you love about the content. Let me know what you would like to hear in the content in future episodes. Last week, we discussed the key to keep digging, which is discipline. You have to be disciplined to achieve your goals because you are obsessed with success. And if the only way you're going to achieve that success is if you remain disciplined through the good times and the bad times. Motivation will push you through the good times, but it's discipline that's going to push you through the bad times. So that's why self-discipline is so important. And that was the key to keep digging. We talked about that last week, but I want to talk about this week. I want to shift the momentum for a little bit. I want to talk about what happens when the tools that you were digging with become dull and now you're not making any more progress. So let's say you were digging that hole, you was making progress, you was getting close and close to whatever you were digging towards, but all of a sudden the shovel or the spike that you were using is getting dull. You're not making as much progress as you used to make. Your business isn't generating as many profits as it used to years ago. You're not as effective as you used to be. What happens when this goes on in your entrepreneurial journey? It's easy for entrepreneurs to automatically think that we failed, that we've hit a roadblock, we've plateaued, and there's nowhere to go from here, and this is the end of it. It's easy for us to think that, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm here to tell you today that is not the case. It is not true, because it comes a time in every great entrepreneur's life, every great business's life, where you have to pivot. When your tools start to become dull, when that shovel isn't digging as effective as it used to be, when your business model, your business plan isn't reaching your target market like it used to be, that doesn't mean that your business is failing. It just means that it's time to pivot. And every great business has had to pivot at some point in history. So I don't want you to think that pivoting is a bad thing. What you have to do when you hit this mark in your business, in your career, is you have to pivot and you have to change directions. So even though you were digging, even though you were self-disciplined, you had the motivation to keep digging, as we talked about last week, to reach those diamonds and gold. Don't think that you failed, because you just have to look at it from a different perspective. You made progress in your business. You have done great things in these 4 or 5 years in your business. And now is nowhere to go in this direction. And you shift your thinking, you shift your business. Look at it this way. You have dug a hole. You made progress and there's nowhere else to go. So now you have to plant a tree in that hole. That's what we have to do with our businesses. Whenever that you feel that you're at a stalemate, whenever your target market is no longer being receptive to your business model, whenever you want to make your business a stronger version of itself, whenever the market's overall needs are changing and you have to pivot, you use your past success and past progress and you propel yourself in the opposite direction. Newspaper and magazine industries had to pivot. With the evolution of technology, it's not all about print no more. You have to be digital. You have to have video now. You have to meet your customer needs in a different way. The content is the same. The vision is the same, to report the news, to give people the news, to give people entertainment, but they're doing it in a different way. It's the same thing with your business, and it applies to any industry. That's just one example, but it applies to any industry, and it's up to you to figure out how to do that. It's up to you to figure out how do you need to pivot, because nobody knows your business or your industry better than you. I can't tell you how to pivot in the cosmetology industry. I can't tell you how to pivot in the financial industry, but what I do know is if you're in that industry, if that's your niche, you can figure it out. I don't want you to think that whenever your business stalls or slows down, that it's the end. When people start leaving your business, when your business starts losing money, don't think that it's the end. It's just time to pivot. It's just that simple, ladies and gentlemen. And that's my message this morning. It's very short and very brief. The key to keep digging is discipline. But the key to keeping your business alive is the ability to pivot. knowing when and how to pivot in any industry or any business that you're engaged in. Yes, you dug a hole, you dug a deep hole, and you made progress digging that hole. But when you can't dig no more, you have to plant a tree in that hole. And then that tree is going to grow. Now your business is going to reach newer heights. And then that tree is going to sprout different branches. So now you're going to go in different directions. And now you're going to be able to be far more successful than you can ever imagine when you was going in the opposite direction, when you had your original plan in mind. It's always a way to win in business. Always. No matter what you're going through, no matter what hurdle you encounter, it's always going to be a way to get over it. And there's always going to be a way to expand it. It's just up to you to figure it out. You have to meditate on it. You have to pray on it. But don't you quit. It's always a solution to every problem. And that solution is always going to lead you to success. So let's continue to work. Let's continue to imagine reality. And when your business slows down, when those tools that you was digging become dull, don't think it's the end. You just have to realize when and how to pivot. Have a great day, ladies and gentlemen. I'll talk to you next week.